A little while ago, I released a review of this guy right here, the YoloBox Pro. And at the time, I really liked it. It is a wonderful all-in-one live streaming platform built around a touchscreen interface that worked pretty well. So well, in fact, that the unit they set me to review kind of became my standard piece of kit for doing remote live streaming. Now, I was really excited when YoloLiv, the makers of the YoloBox, reached out and asked if I'd like to take a look at their new big daddy, the YoloBox Extreme. Yes, I would. Let's take a look. All right, so the box they sent over actually came with two boxes in it. This is the power adapter for the unit, and it's an internationalized adapter, which is nice. So you've got the different plugins for your different regions, depending on where you're coming from. And then you got the power unit yourself, which is USB-C. I imagine this is powered by USB-C like the other one was. So you don't have to use the one they sent with you, but it's nice that they sent you a nice, decent one. This is obviously a big unit. It's going to draw a lot of power. So having a good power adapter is a nice thing to have. So there you go. But the money is all right here. So as we crack this open, you can already see in the size comparison of the box that this is a much bigger unit, and it's got some weight to it. I can definitely tell you that. Ooh, there she is. Isn't it pretty? All right, so we've got a touchscreen unit, and so it basically starts off looking like a kind of really kind of thick iPad. Like I said, it's definitely got some weight to it, some really solid feeling construction though, some little feet on the bottom because you're probably gonna set it down and kind of use it that way if you want. You do have the 1/4-inch mount on the bottom, which is kind of the standard camera kind of mount. So any kind of tripod or anything you can use that. It's got SIM capability built into it. So, you know, obviously it's a live streaming box. You got to get internet to it. No brainer that it comes with Wi-Fi, but you can also add a SIM card if you would like. Your SD card for recording. The SD card is a full-sized SD card, which I am so excited to see. Those little mini SD cards, I lose them so much. So the full-size SD card is nice to have, and then a simple audio out, a place to attach an antenna on the side here. I assume for Wi-Fi, maybe for the oh, there's another antenna spot right there. All right. So probably for enhanced Wi-Fi, maybe for this wireless service as well. Who knows? But the money is all right there with all of those glorious ports. The biggest improvement we have with the Extreme over the Pro, besides obviously some probably upgrades on the internals, is now you have 8 inputs versus the 4 that came with the Pro. So the Extreme clearly is extreme. We're going to throw all those ports in a minute, but let's just check out what else is in the box. So under here, we've got a warranty card, we've got a user manual, we've got a USB to USB-C cable, and a USB to USB cable that obviously goes along with the power brick. So that's how you're going to power the thing, which is great. You do get a little mount for it as well, if I can get it out of the box. All right. So this is a shoe mount. So that's the connector that's on the top of your DSLR camera. And so you can run this, and then obviously you've got the screw mount that screws into the bottom of this guy. So if you wanted to mount it on top of your DSLR camera and run, like say, the HDMI out from the camera straight to the unit, you can do that. That's a lot of weight to put on there. So you're going to want a pretty solid rig if you're going to use something like that. And probably isn't the most advisable things, but you can if you want. And then finally we've got, come on out. Well, anyway, got it. The external antennas for screwing to that guy. All right, let's take a big close-up look at the ports here and get an idea of what this thing can do before we power it on. All right, so pardon the interruption. I just want to give you a little clue as to how channels like this work, especially those of us who work in more niche content. The YouTube ad revenue is literally pennies and not how I primarily support this channel. I do it through Amazon affiliate links. Now here's the thing, when you click on one of the Amazon affiliate links below in the description, even if you don't buy the exact product that I am linking to, if you buy something in that experience and you start by clicking on one of my links, then I get a little cut of it. It doesn't cost you anything. That's Amazon paying it out of Amazon share. The only other way to make this work is to do things like sponsored or advertised content, which I don't want to do because I want to offer objective information and advice to you. So please check the links below if you're interested in anything you've seen here today. And even if you come back later, use those links, buy your products, enjoy what you buy, help me out. Thank you. So satisfied. All right, now that we got the business end out of the box and tilted up, let's talk through the rather impressive options for ports on this thing. Now, inside, this runs on a Qualcomm chip, and so it's going to be hardware-wise similar to what you're going to get on like higher-end smartphones. That's the technology that's underneath this, but that also means it's basically a full computer in there. This is not something you need to plug into another computer. This is going to do all of your capture, it's going to do all of your recording, it's going to do all of your streaming from one box. No other device, laptop, iPad, or anything required. It's all just right here, and that makes it nice. All right, so we've got, first we have 8 HDMI inputs. So we are on an HDMI here, which most of the cameras that you're going to use are going to support. It's a great technology. So we have 8, but the 8 are not created equal. If you can kind of read the tiny little print at the top there, the first 3 are 1080p, which of course is the live streaming standard resolution for most places and most things right now, but the back 5 are 4K. This is my first time actually getting a hold of a unit that supports full K. I've done some Blackmagic products on here and everything else, and you know, those are all currently 1080p, at least all the ones that I've tested are. I have encouraged on this channel before investing in 4K cameras because 4K streaming equipment is coming. Well, it's here, and that's pretty cool. So we do have 2 or 3 1080p, 4 4K HDMI inputs. You have some HDMI outputs as well. I imagine similar to on the Pro, you can kind of change up what exactly those do. But if you want to hook this up to like a larger monitor, so you can, or if you've got a secondary person who also wants to monitor what's going on with the live stream or the various cameras or the inputs and everything, you can do that. So we'll test that. You've got an Ethernet port, which is to be expected, some USB, kind of the classic rectangle USB A style connectors here, which I believe you can use as camera inputs. If you have like a webcam, you know, kind of camera, you can use them for that. The instructions do say that you can use one of your USBs as an additional internet source. So you could have the Wi-Fi built into it. You could have the 4G wireless connectivity. And the instructions do say it's 4G, not 5G, but it's 4G, which, okay. And have an additional like internet through like a 5G hotspot or something coming in through the USB here, and those can all be bonded together. Right? So you can have all of those going at the same time, bonded together, and so if one gets slow or funky or the Wi-Fi goes out on you or whatever, you've got the 4G to fall back on. If the 4G, you know, if you're at a sporting event and, you know, the cell service gets slow, it can switch, you know, lean more on the Wi-Fi, whatever that is. You can bring multiple internet sources for redundancy if that's what you need. All right, so we got standard 3.5 millimeter microphone inputs, 1 and 2. So if you've got, you know, like a wireless microphone setup, you know, like the Rodecaster, you know, microphones or whatever. You can have 2 of those inputs, which is great. A Type-C, which would be really great for external storage if you didn't want to use the SD card slot. The Type-C is going to be where you plug in your external hard drive for something a little bit bigger and a little bit faster. And then you've got the second Type-C, which is apparently just for charging. Now, note about both the SD card and the Type-C input for putting a hard drive on is this does allow for ISO recording, meaning that it will record independent video files of all of your different inputs and independent audio files of all of your various audio inputs, along with a recording of whatever your kind of master mix is that you're actually live streaming. That is a lot of recording and a lot of data, and when we start talking about 4K, that is a lot. So you're going to want very, very high-end, very fast SD cards or external hard drives in order to capture all of that data in real time. But as a port option configuration going, oh my gosh, that's a lot of ports, and I like it. It is more or less on kind of, the ports are kind of like all on the top of the unit. You know, the connector is on the back here, which is kind of where you would expect them to be. You know, kind of debate if they're better off on, you know, split on either side or all in one place at the top. I like this setup. I like it all together in one place. You know, for cord management stuff, I think that's easier. I did snap on the little Wi-Fi antenna guys, and they're here. They don't rotate. You can click them in place in in all the different directions if you would like, and they pop out, you know, pretty easy here. They just there we go, pops out, and then I can, you know, click it back in whatever orientation that I want it to be, but it doesn't rotate or anything like that, which is probably fine. This is probably actually better. All right, let's turn it on. All right, I had to lower the lights in my studio. I was getting a lot of glare off of this. But the only thing I plugged in right now is the power adapter. It does have a built-in battery and a pretty beefy one, but I'm going to go ahead and get it charged up. As soon as I plugged it in, I did hear a fan running, probably because it's charging, and that creates a lot of heat in the battery. But it does have a fan. With this much horsepower doing this much work, it's probably not possible to only passively cool it, but that's something to take into consideration. But it's not any worse than any kind of like laptop or anything. You know, might occasionally turn on its fan, whatever. So we're going to go through a boot process, because again, this is a computer on the inside for the most part. And when we get booted up here, it's going to give us the option. We could enter monitor mode, which is, you know, kind of what it says it is. I don't have anything connected, you know, up here or anything like that, so there really isn't anything to monitor. But yes, I want to exit. But instead, let's go into live stream mode. Now, live streaming requires a sign-on and an account. So you are going to need, if you want to use this for live streaming and recording and all of that, you are going to have to create an account with YOLO, which, fine. I mean, it's not ideal and necessarily, in my opinion. It's nice to be able to use things standalone, but you will need to create an account. But I already have one, because I already have one of these. Of course, before we can log in, we first have to connect it to the internet. So the settings button is right here. And when that loads, you can see it's very familiar to anyone who's used a modern smartphone, which I think is really smart of them to just not mess with the formula that everybody knows and works. But first things first, we're going to go to connections. All the different options for connections that we have. You've got Wi-Fi, Ethernet, cellular, USB dongle, hotspot, tethering, Bluetooth. I suppose you get Bluetooth into something, and then you can run a good old speed test to see how things are going. For now, I think we're going to keep it simple and just log into my local Wi-Fi. All right, we're connected, and yeah, pretty fast. That works well. Good deal. So back to the sign-in screen, we're gonna hit sign in. All right. So because I have used this account before with my other device, it's actually bringing in my previous projects right here, which is a nice feature. So you get a little bit of like cloud syncy thing going on, which is fine. I don't want to use any of those. We're just going to start fresh. So we're going to add a new one, give it a title, and create. All right, so here we are. So the interface is pretty similar to the existing YoloBox interface. So if you're familiar with any of their other products, this is going to look pretty simple to you, which is great. I do have my different options for connecting what I want to live stream to. So I can live stream directly to Facebook, Twitch, do a custom RTMP, so really anything that I want. Again, this setting right here, is to connect to YouTube. I've never used this device before, so it's got to be pulling that in from my account information, which again is nice to see. Now I might want to, change up some of my settings around how I'm streaming, and so you can kind of see you've got all kinds of things that you can do, most of which you are not going to touch, and that is okay. All right, as I go through the settings here, there's a couple of things I just want to point out to you that might be interesting. First, those HDMI outs on the back that we talked about earlier, you can independently configure A and B to be different things. So you can mirror out, which is going to mirror this entire screen, which is nice. You can do a custom where you are able to say, do this. So in this case, program. So say you want the USB out or the HDMI A out to be the program, the actual live thing that you are streaming, your kind of mixed content, you can do that. And then you can also set up multi-view out and then decide which one of the sources, maybe all of them, maybe none of them, you want to have set up on that external display, including how do you want to customize the grid that it's going to push those things to. That's pretty cool. And if you kind of get into this and you really want like a very specific view, or the biggest use case I can see for this is if you've got some of your cameras are PTZ cameras and you've got somebody controlling those through a PTZ controller, you're going to want to give them that extra output in some kind of arrangement like this so they can see the cameras and what's going on in all at once and all in one place. So if you've got like a camera operator with your PTZ controller, you can customize this output for them, and then if you're the controller, the one actually doing the mixing, you're going to do it right here on this screen. I like that feature. That's really neat. Kind of basic SD card management here, which is of course obviously important. And then mobile web control. If your phone, they do offer an app. YOLO offers an app for your phone that lets you actually control this device remotely from that app. We're not going to get into that in this video. There's actually a lot we're not going to get into this video, so look for more videos in the future. There's just too much to talk about. But it does kind of give you some basic instructions on how to get that set up if you want to remotely control it that way. Kind of neat. All right, so let's get some stuff hooked up to this thing and see how it works. All right, so I got it set up with a bunch of different things to test. So I threw like what cameras I had and different connectors at it just to see how it worked. And of course I had to dim my studio lights again to take care of the glare. But let me show you what I got here. So I've got this guy here connected PTZ camera, 1080p, connected over normal HDMI. I also have my computer hooked up to it, which you can kind of see there, the desktop computer. I've got that hooked up to it because you're running a slideshow or whatever. It's gonna be a pretty standard thing. The Ozbot over here is running over NDI, so there's no cables connected to him right now, which is kind of cool. You could put him anywhere you wanted to put him. I've got my Rode mic, wireless Rode mic, connected that way, and then this Nearstream camera right here is connected via USB, actually. And as you can see, it just works really, really well. I mean, it just works. And I've got my 4 different inputs here. And then I went ahead and made a P&P input so I can pre-configure that. And then it shows up as one of my options when I'm switching, between what's being shown in the program feed. It just becomes that another option for me to see there, which is actually a really kind of nice way to do it. I really like and appreciate that. So good job on that, YOLO. And then I do have this hooked up to an external monitor, as you can see here, and it's showing me previews of all the different inputs that are currently going on, what the program feed is showing. So if I was a camera operator or somebody else, I could just be sitting here looking at it. Yeah, it did not disappoint. It did what I expected it to do. All right, so YoloBox Extreme, what do we think? Well, I couldn't possibly show you everything, so look for more videos about it. This was kind of more of an overview than anything, but I would say it is a substantive upgrade over the Pro. I love the NDI, I love all the inputs, I love all the customizations they allow you to do. It can probably look a little overwhelming, maybe, if you're kind of new to the space, but the default settings it come with work pretty darn well. So if you don't want to get into the weeds in every little setting and everything like that, you probably aren't going to need to do that. It can be fairly plug and play if you want it to be. I'd say the quality level is definitely there. The addition of 4K is pretty great. The fact that you can stream and record at the same time is, of course, wonderfully helpful. And overall, I would say it's a pretty good machine for what it does. And frankly, it needs to be, because the one thing we haven't really talked about is price. YoloBox Extreme, currently $2,000 on Amazon. Yes, that's a lot of money for sure, but you're getting a lot for it. If you were to try to buy, a high quality laptop and all the interfaces and stuff you would need to do something similar, you would easily reach that price point relatively quickly. So the fact that this is an all-in-one unit, it's probably worth it if it meets your use case and you need this level of sophistication. If you don't, if you're not going to use 8 inputs and all that sort of stuff, then maybe stepping down to one of the smaller YOLO boxes that are a little bit more affordable might be the way to go. But the nice thing about it is the touchscreen interface is something that's very intuitive. If you're in a situation like a church or something like that, and you're working with volunteers, a knowledgeable person could help you set this up and with some time. But as far as actually running it on the day, switching between the different video and everything, that touchscreen interface is just super slick and super easy to use, and you could probably set a volunteer in front of it with a minimal amount of training, maybe even just a few minutes, and they'd be able to get the basics done without really much of a struggle. So for me, that's always a huge price point. Ease of use is a huge selling thing for what it does. Now, if you want to get into the more advanced stuff, you can do it. You've got a lot of room to grow. So this is going to be something that you invest in and no doubt use for years to come. So do check it out. Check out the links in the description if you want to check it out on Amazon and support this channel. And do look for future videos getting into the weeds a little bit more with our new little toy here, because it definitely can do a lot of stuff. All right, well, thank you for watching all the way through, and until I see you again, have a great day.